because this off a round brush, okay? And let me tell you, I just whoop and went out the mirror, okay? I wasn't even trying to do too much, okay? So don't go too hard on me when it comes to the hair, but I think it's eating, and bare face, yeah. You know how I do, but I'm gonna be here just bragging about how pretty I am for a while. So you know what we gotta do. Let's get into the video, because we do have much to discuss. Okay. Welcome to the Shakira Miriam Show. I'm your host, Shakira Miriam, and today we are going to be talking about the Super Bowl. Now, we're not going to be talking about the Super Bowl, though, because I don't care about sports. I don't think y'all care to hear me talk about sports. And, go Eagles, though, because I am from Philly. Go Eagles! Yeah! Go Birds, for sure. But that's not really the focus here. I want to talk about Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, okay? And listen, I'm Team Young Money all day, okay? One thing about me, I'm a barb. But, Drake, you ain't really been showing your loyalty much recently. So I can't really say that, I'm riding for you, because you ain't riding for my chick. But, I'm still Team Young Money all day. I'm still Team Drake. But I do think that this performance was bigger than a diss. Okay, I think that there was so much symbolism in this performance, and it was such a huge, loud message to specifically the Black community. And I want to just guide my young brother and sisters so that y'all understand the message behind that performance, because I do think that a lot of people missed it. I do think that it went over a lot of people's heads. And this is one of them things where it's like you really see who's still programmed and who's woken up. Because if you watch that performance and you took nothing from it, all you took from it was that they was wearing red, white, and blue, and he was dancing around and singing, and the mic was on. If that's all you took from it, you're very programmed, and you got to start questioning things a little bit more, because you really are not in the know of what's really going on in our world, okay? But, for those who are a little bit woke up here, for if you know what I'm talking about, we definitely caught this message. But either way, I do want to break it down, and I do want to discuss it. So, let's get right into it. So I first want to start off with the beginning of the performance. So in the beginning of the performance, we see the stage, the field, really. And on the field, there's a bunch of lights that are representing a tic-tac-toe game. And later on in the performance, the field, or the stage that he's performing, but the field, it actually gets shaped like a PlayStation controller. And in the very beginning, he also uses Samuel L. Jackson to represent Uncle Sam. And he says in the beginning, "This is the great American game," while the floor is being lit up like a tic-tac-toe game, and later on a PlayStation controller. And the performers are dancing on this game. So for me, when he says this is the great American game, and he has a bunch of dancers going in synchronicity on this game, to me, that's representing the society that we live in today. Because a lot of us do the same thing. Just like how a lot of these performers were moving in synchronicity, we all do the same thing too in synchronicity. We all go to work, we all come home, we all pay our bills, and then we just repeat the process. And that is the great American game that we are all playing. We do live in a matrix. As much as you're not woken up to it, it is what it is. We are in a matrix. And a matrix is kind of like a game. And these are our avatars that our souls are living in. And we are playing this great American game. Because let's be real. Like, why do we have to pay for water? Why do we have to pay for fruit? Why do we have to pay? These are genuine questions. Like, I'm not even just trying to be that person, but realistically, why do we have to pay for things that grow from earth when we are literally people who come from Earth. Like, this is all a game. All a game. Capitalism, it's all a game. And a lot of us are so programmed to think that this society is normal when in reality it's not. In reality it's not. Okay? Seriously, you know how I know it's the great American game? Because they keep us working. They keep us working and they keep us paying bills. Okay? I was today years old when I found out that when you pay off your house, you still got to pay property taxes. I thought that once the house is paid off, you don't got to pay nothing. You paying property tax, so you basically never own nothing. You're always stuck in this game where you have to be paying bills and you have to be working and you have to be working to survive. Like, it's literally insane. And a lot of times most people don't tap into their passions or their true dreams because they're playing this great American game just to survive. So that is what I took already from like the first 5 seconds. So, yeah. And then we move forward in the performance. Kendrick starts rapping. He's like saying all this stuff. You know, he's going in. It's good. I'm like, okay, you know, he's spitting okay. And then he says, the revolution will be televised. Now, the revolution will be televised. I want to break that down, because that already is a lot of symbolism. So for those of you who are unaware, there is an old jazz poet named Jill Scott, okay? And he often used his poems to speak to the black community. And one of his most famous quotes is, the revolution will not be televised. And I do want you guys to actually watch a video of him explaining that quote so you can understand the symbolism behind Kendrick saying that. So take a look at this video.
About the revolution will not be televised. That was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film. It'll just be something that you see, and all of a sudden you realize, I'm on the wrong page. Or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. And I've got to get in sync with everyone else to understand what's happening in this country.
You heard him? He said the reason he said the revolution will not be televised is because the first step to a revolution is a huge shift in everybody's mind and consciousness. That's where it starts. Before we start looting, before we start protesting, before we start marching, we all have to have the mindset of being on the same accord and having the same goal and understanding what's going on in this country and what's happening to black individuals in this country. And that all starts with the shift of your mind. And that is a lot of things that our community needs to work on, because there's a bunch of healing. We're divided as a community. We can't really fight racism because we're fighting colorism, texturism, and featureism. A lot of us have been brainwashed. A lot of us have also been, I don't want to shit on anybody's religion, but I'm just going to say, this is all I'm going to say. A lot of us have used religion to guide us in life, but it has failed to guide some of our people because it has put a lot of our people in a state of fear, which actually doesn't help black people tap into their power. That's all I'm going to say. I will do an episode on spirituality and religion, but that's what I'm going to say. Okay? And oftentimes we have our people looking for power and answers outside of us, when the answers are actually right here. So there's so much that our community needs to change in terms of our mindset, in terms of where we look for power, where we look for guidance, where we look for hope, where we look for faith, how we come together, how we work together, how we love each other, how we value each other. That all comes into play when it comes to this revolution. If you notice in history, Anytime the black community came together and actually got some shit done, they were a unit. They were all on one accord. Mentally. So that's where it starts. We can't get anything done unless it's the mindset. Okay? So that's why he said the revolution will not be televised. Because you will not see somebody's mind change or their mind shift or somebody finally go from being programmed to woke. That's something you can't visualize. Okay? However, when Kendrick said the revolution will be televised, what he meant was this is the age of social media. This is the age of TikTok. And while you cannot visualize my people shift their mindsets, what you are going to catch on camera, what will be televised, is the symbolism that I'm going to put in this performance to wake my people up. That will be televised. So that's what he meant by the revolution will be televised. Because you are going to catch the symbolism that I put in this performance so that the first step to my people waking up will be watching this and shifting their mindset. You're going to catch that though. So that's what he meant. And he followed up with that statement saying, you picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Let's talk about it. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Let's look at the state of our world right now. Who's president? Donald J. Trump. Do you think that is a, good candidate to have in office while black people are waking up to who they are and black people waking up to their power? I don't really think so. So that's what he meant when he said you picked the right time, but the wrong guy. This is the perfect time for black people to wake up because we've been asleep for too long. Okay, perfect time. But that guy up in office, he's not going to be the right guy to receive that revolution. He's not going to be the right guy to stand in front of black people as we are demanding what's ours. He's not going to be the right guy. He most likely won't even be able to handle it. You know how racists are. They can't take the smoke. So, right time, wrong nigga in office. Simple as that. Now, I did forget to mention this in the beginning, but Samuel L. Jackson is playing Uncle Sam in this performance. And it's very ironic that we have Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam in this performance, because when you look at his character in the movie Django, I think it's called Django, he played a coon in that movie. He played a straight up coon. He played a slave who was very loyal to his slave master. And that slave master was so racist, and that black slave just was brainwashed and believed the racism and went with it, if anything. So it's ironic that Samuel L. Jackson is playing Uncle Sam, given that he played a coon-ass slave in a movie before. And for me, I don't know, the symbolism behind that for me is a black person who's a coon is just as bad as Uncle Sam, if not worse. Okay? For me, the symbolism behind that is whatever Uncle Sam does to keep racism alive, that black person who is a coon-ass bitch is also doing the same thing. They're no different. They're no different. That's why I say when it comes to colorism and texturism and featureism, y'all are doing the work for him. Yes, white people or Uncle Sam or, whoever started racism, yes, they created it, but we keep it going. The more your colorist, the more your texturist, the more your featurist, you keep it going. And you're just as bad as him. So, that's what I took from that. But I want to get more into the performance. My bad. Well, Kendrick does like 2 songs. And before he gets to his next song, In between that number, Samuel L. Jackson, or Uncle Sam in this case, says, no, no, no. This is too reckless. This is too loud. This is too ghetto. Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? If so, tighten up. So let's break that down. He's saying too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Tighten up if you know how to play the game. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, that's the story of a black person living in this country. How many times have people told you that you needed to, act a little bit white so you could fit in? I mean, how many times have you had to code switch so you could get that job? How many times have you had to change your voice or change your wardrobe just so people wouldn't judge you and automatically think that you're ghetto or you're ratchet or whatever the case may be? That's the reality of a black person in this country. You're always going to be told that you can't be authentically yourself. You can't live in black culture because it's too ghetto, it's too reckless, it's too loud, it's too whatever. You need to play the American game. You need to be whitewashed. You need to be classy. You can't indulge in black culture as a black person. It's too reckless, it's too ghetto. But shit, let Kim K and Bad Baby run it, and everybody is making them millionaires. But an actual black person tapping into their own black culture, that's a problem. So that was obvious. I mean, come on. So right after he does that, he goes into the song Humble. And while the song Humble is playing, he has all his dancers wearing red, white, and blue. And they're representing the American flag. And Kendrick is standing right in the middle of the flag. And the flag is split. And all of the dancers are standing and they're higher than him. And Uncle Sam just told him to tighten up. And the song that's playing is Humble. What I took from that was the flag being split into two, for me, represents this country and how there is a huge cultural divide. We have black people and we have everybody else. That's how I see it. I genuinely think that, everybody else does not relate to our experience. We are the only ones that relate to our own. And everybody else, for me, it feels like everybody else is against us. When you think about it, racism takes place in every single country. It's not just America. And black people are hated in every single country. It's not just America. It's actually kind of weird. Like, you go to China, they don't like the blacks. You go to Mexico, they don't like the blacks. I mean, they don't like the blacks nowhere. So it's not just here. So for me, that represented our divided country and how we're really like living in two different worlds, honestly. Like, even when you scroll on TikTok, you'll notice your For You page as a black person is way different than the typical white girl. Way different. Even the typical Indian or whatever. Like, no. We live in our own, we are like our own world. Okay. So there's a huge divide. And then if you notice, the dancers, they're all elevated above him while the song is playing. Be humble, sit down. So I felt like that was representing that the issue is bigger than just him. It's bigger than just one person. So the dancers just being on a higher level than him while the Humble song is playing. It's like, this is just bigger than you. And the Humble song playing while all of this is happening, for me, that just represented, like I said, like what they tell black people. Be humble, bitch. Sit down. I don't care if you're actually capable of doing the most in this whole entire world and you've basically handcrafted this country your damn self. Be humble. Sit down. That's what I took from it. So the next thing that I noticed in this performance was Kendrick was rapping and he had a bunch of black men behind him wearing all white. and they were dancing and they were vibing and they were in all unison, all together. And when Uncle Sam or Samuel L. Jackson saw them all together vibing in unison, he said, "Oh, I see. So you brought your boys now. Okay. Deduct one player." Whoa. That was deep. I feel like not that many people are talking about that one. Like, deduct one player. For me, when black people, specifically black men, I will say, when black men band together for a real cause, not some stupid shit like gang shit, like a real cause, y'all are unstoppable. Y'all are unstoppable. And I wish black men understood their power too. I talk to black women a lot about their power, but black men, you are very powerful. The only thing you don't have is systemic privilege. Other than that, you are capable of doing so much. So much. But you guys count yourself out from birth, and you never get to tap into your full potential most of the time. And I get it, society does brainwash you guys into thinking that the only future you have is in the streets or in jail. But please hold my hand when I say this, black men, you are capable and you are destined for far more than that. And when you guys band together, you guys are a very, very, very powerful force to be reckoned with. And when you guys are actually in unison and you use your strength and your knowledge to better your community and uplift your women, oh my God, you guys are actually unstoppable. And I know this because not from our current society. I wish our current society was like that, but it's not. But I know this from our history. Okay? I don't know if y'all ever heard of, what is it called? I'm tearing up. Sorry. Shit. I might tear up a little bit throughout the episode while I'm getting into this because it's very deep. But I don't know if you guys ever heard of Deacons of Defense. But they were the protectors of the black community, especially during the time period of the civil rights movement when we were marching and protesting. They would often even be seen with Martin Luther King sometimes because they were like the police, but not the police, but like, how do you explain it? Like the protectors for the black community. That's the best way I could say it. Like they weren't enforcing, like they weren't like managing crime and stuff like that, but they were making sure that they were protecting us from the crazy white people in the KKK. And one thing about it is what I've noticed in all of our history books, and when you look at history in general, the way they paint slavery and the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement, they make it seem like black people were a bunch of bitches. I'm sorry. I hate to be the one. Listen, I'm not even trying to be that person, but you ever look at like history books and you really read the stories, and sometimes you just be sitting there and you be like, they would have had to kill me because motherfucker, no, like, bro, no. You see what I'm saying? They, like, a lot of the time they paint it like our ancestors were just a bunch of bitches that just went with the shit. Feel me? Like, no, they leave out a lot of details where we were actually joining together in unison and beating their ass. Like, that's the best way I could really put it. For my people out here, the realest way, like for real, okay? That Deacons of Defense people that I was just mentioning, they were actually the ones who were beating the KKK's ass. The KKK was scared of them. So in your history books, when they try to make it seem like black people was the bitches that was just going for the bullshit, no, we put up a good fight. And one thing about it, them motherfuckers were so scared of us. That's why they made this system where we have to work with them. Because if you can't beat them, join them. But yeah, let's put all these systemic blockages in place so we're still at the top. The Tulsa Massacre, they burned down 36 blocks. of black neighborhoods just because we were flourishing so much. Because we had black hospitals, we had black schools, we had black everything. If you notice today in this world, a lot of black owned businesses are like clothing, nails, hair. We don't own the good stuff, the real stuff, the systemic stuff. Like hospitals, schools, things like that. We were running shit. Like, we had our own society. The same way how we live in the society and white people pretty much own all the stuff. Like, we had our own society where we owned everything. And that was such a threat to them. Because when black people work together, we are unstoppable. And I need y'all to understand that when it comes to racism and all this systemic blockages that they put in place because it's because they need authority because they don't have the ability. That's the best way I can say it. White people need the authority because they don't have the ability. They're going to tell you that I'm the boss, I run this shit, and I'm going to tell you what to do. Because they know if you had the power to do that, you would be unstoppable. Because not only would you have the authority, you would have the ability to actually beat their ass. You would have the ability to finish faster than them. Because at the end of the day, if you're running a race and you have somebody who's super slow and somebody who is Usain Bolt, for the person who's super slow to win, they're going to put all these obstacles in front of Usain Bolt, so he's hopping over and he's not actually running the race like a fair game, so that the slower runner has time to catch up and time to beat him. But unfortunately, even though the slower runner has a clear path and Usain has all these hurdles in front of him, Usain is still winning or tying for the most part. So when Samuel L. Jackson in this performance, he sees all the black guys together in unison and they're vibing and whatever. He sees that as a powerful unit. That's too powerful. So that's why he said deduct one life. And what do we live in right now in this society? I mean, our incarceration systems are through the roof, and who's filling them? Black men. And it's not by accident. Like, at all. War on drugs, redlining, them pushing us into the hood, them putting all these like drugs into the hood, then overpopulating the hood with liquor stores and fast food places so that you don't actually get better as physically, and also you're rotting your brain. And then on top of it, they literally flood these hoods with police officers. And then they tell you that you ain't shit compared to the next white person. And then redlining already makes the schools very lowly funded. So your school system is horrible. You're not getting the proper education. They set these black men up for failure in these neighborhoods. And I'm not saying it's impossible for them to get out. It is possible. We've seen it happen. But it is hard. It is hard. And I feel for black men in that sense. And that's what I took from when he said deduct one life. It's that whole entire system that they've created to push black men specifically in incarceration systems. Because when there's a lot of them, and when there's a lot of them working in unison and using their abilities and their knowledge for the greater good of the community, it's a big threat. So that for me was really huge. I was like, whoa. Like, when he said deduct one life, I said, oh, you, okay. That was deep. I do also want to point out that they're all wearing red, white, and blue, but they're kind of dressed like the handmaiden society. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it was a society back then. And basically, they forced women to like reproduce babies, and like they were just like really like it was actually like our society in a way. Forced labor, Forced women to reproduce. I mean, with the whole abortion thing. I mean, and then what else did they do? Forced labor. Oh, sexual assault. Like it was just like a very dark society, but pretty much America. Because I mean, yeah, how many children go missing a year? How many children get sexually assaulted and raped a year, and those abusers are still walking on the street to this day? Forced labor. I mean, if we don't go to work, we literally do not live. And then, forcing women to reproduce for a ruling class, kind of putting this societal norm of being a wife and marriage is how we live in a world where like they kind of make women feel like you're not doing enough in life if you're not married, and if you're not married with kids, then you're a horrible woman, you're not doing enough in life. Yeah, it's kind of indirectly kind of like that, but in the Handmaid Society, like they dead ass force them, but here it's kind of like we're not forcing you, but we're shaming you if you don't do it. We're shaming you if you don't have babies, so you can create more people to work in our society and keep the American game going. So, and abortion, fuck that shit. So, yeah. So another thing I noticed was in between another song, Kendrick got on the mic and he said, 40 acres and a mule, this is deeper than the music. And that's really obvious, to be honest. But if you don't know, 40 acres and a mule is what black people were promised back then as reparations. Did y'all get it? No, you didn't. They shut that shit down real quick, okay? But what we do know now is 40 acres and a mule today is worth $640 million. Yes. $640 million. $1 billion, actually, not million. Hold up. 40 acres and a mule. Yeah, billion. Big bucks. Because I was like, million? That seemed a little bit tiny. Like, when you divide it behind all the black people, like, I don't really know. Like, it's giving a low number. I feel like, we need to stack it up a bit. And $640 billion. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of money. But black people did not get their reparations. And to this day, it's still a question as to why black people didn't get their reparations. Honestly, it's still a question. Because every other group has gotten their reparations. I mean, no shade to the Jews. But, I mean, you guys are in the history books as one of the most oppressed groups of people ever because you were stuck in ovens for 6 years, and I feel for you. It was definitely that was horrid. Fuck the Nazis. But my people, we was getting eaten by alligators for like 400 years. Getting burned down in churches. Getting slapped and beaten and hung. Okay? And picking cotton in the sun all day. And we ain't get a dime. Not a dime. Okay? So yeah, black people, we do have the right to be angry. As much as they try to gaslight you and tell you to be humble, sit down, like in this performance, what he was trying to tell y'all, yeah, no, you don't need to be humble and you don't need to sit down. Because this country would be nowhere without us. Literally. Nowhere. And they don't want you to recognize that. Because once you recognize your power, you won't think you need them. You won't think you need their approval for anything. And you'll use your strengths to better your community. And that leaves them with nothing. I mean, we know black culture runs this country. Which is why what he followed up with after the statement was they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Yeah. They tried to rig the game. Meaning they put all these systemic things in place to rig the American game so that they can win. But you can't fake influence. You can't mimic the fact that black people are very influential in this country. We set all the trends, literally. Everybody copies us. I mean, everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black, right? So that's what he's saying. They tried to rig the American game by creating racism and putting all these systemic blockages in place just so they could be at the top. But even with all of that, you can't fake influence. At the end of the day, when you look at every single popular trending thing, it all dates back to a black person who created it. When you look at something that is very useful, very resourceful, you can date it back to a black person who invented it. You can't fake influence. You can't fake it. Which is why so many people, like, I don't know if you've ever had somebody who's jealous of your aura, jealous of your influence, jealous of how people like you. Yeah, jealousy doesn't just come from materialistic things. And if you really look at your history, racism is literally just jealousy. It's jealousy. The one group is very jealous of the other because they are not capable of doing what the other can. They are not made like the other. They are not like the other. They are not like us. Literally. And I didn't even mean to do that on purpose, but I'm serious. They are not like us. And that whole song is a statement in itself. They are not like us. And I really mean that. That is not just me saying, like, racism, if you really think at this point it's because of a skin color, you really haven't woken up yet and you're not asking enough questions. Why didn't they pick eye color? Why didn't they pick hair texture? Why did they pick skin color? What comes from being black? What makes you black? The melanin you have. What is melanin? Why is that powerful? Oh, it's very, very powerful. I mean, it's more valuable than gold. It's found in the sun. It's found in many earthly things. Many things that come from earth. We are the only ones with 9 DNA series. Everybody else has 5 DNA series, 6 DNA series, way less than us. And if you don't know what DNA series is, it's basically your genetic code, your blueprint, okay? And it has a lot to do with your development, your brain development, your physical development. And if you notice, African babies do develop faster than any group of people out there. This is scientifically proven. And we already know we are physically more capable than most groups of people out there. It's scientifically proven, but we see it every day. They are literally not like us. Okay? The Eve gene. The Eve gene. If you guys don't know what the Eve gene is, it's the mitochondrial gene that dates back to the very, 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 very first woman on Earth. Very first woman on Earth. And guess who is the only person that carries that gene? Black women. Nobody else carries that gene but us. So we carry the gene that the creator of life, the first creator of life, has. And no other group has that but us. Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. The first human to appear on Earth can be dated back to 300,000 years ago in Africa. White people have only been around for 6,000 years. So I just want you to let that sink in. White people have only been around for 6,000 years. The first human on Earth was found in Africa 300,000 years ago. That's 294,000. 294,000 years. Black people have been here before white people. And you're confused about racism. You're confused about why all these systemic blockages are in place. You're ahead of the game. You've been around 294,000 years longer than the motherfuckers. And they've led you to believe that you wasn't shit. You didn't do shit. You was just a slave picking cotton and getting your ass beat. Yeah, no. Before all of that, you were very powerful and you had your own society. Damn near like Wakanda. Yes, they put all this stuff in plain sight, even in movies. Damn near like that. Very, very advanced, very developed. And if you go in all the ancient Egyptian pyramids and you look at all the figures and all the stick figures, you know how they try to whiteify that and try to make it seem like Egyptians were more on the whiter side, even in the movies. When we watch movies like Hercules or even other movies, Disney movies, they make the Egyptian people and the first people on Earth to be more lighter skinned. They was dark skinned. They was dark skinned Africans. Which is why if you look in a lot of the pyramids, they be cutting off the noses of the images of the first Egyptians out there in Africa. Yeah, they be cutting off them noses. Because the noses reveal that they were Africans. But if you cut off the nose and there's no skin color, we can cause some confusion here. Now we can confuse who actually was the people out here. They try to write themselves into your history. They do. And a lot of your history books, they make it seem like we were living around the same time. And no, they came way later. And they write themselves into it by whitewashing a lot of the information that they give you about your history. Making it seem like they were around that time when they were not. They were not. Black people, I hope this woke some of you up. And I hope that you understand your power, and I hope that my people figure out who they are. That is my goal. That's why I made this video. I really want you to figure out who you are. Because it kills me to see a group of people who are capable of so much and have so much potential, and I see what we can do. I see the revolution and how powerful it can be. But like Jill Scott said, the mindset. It starts with us. And I really hope y'all wake up to your identity. And y'all understand that you have been told a lie your whole life. Okay? You are the shit. You are powerful. You are a force to be reckoned with. I hope to my black people out here who are still playing the American game, because I know we all have to play it. Please, when you are around other groups of people, when you are around people, walk in that power. Do not dim your light or be humble and sit down because you need to make other groups of people feel comfortable. Walk in that power and watch the energy you will attract. Because one thing they hate is a confident dark-skinned girl. And one thing they hate is a confident black woman. And one thing they cannot stand is a powerful, secure black man. And I mean that with all my heart. But if you are new here, welcome. My name is Shakira, aka Shakira Miriam, and I talk about colorism, texturism, and featureism in the Black community. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I know there's a lot of y'all that watch my videos and you don't like and comment and subscribe. Just press the button, at least like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to 10K and I want to make more videos for y'all, but it starts with the subscribe button. But on a serious note, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys very soon. Besos.